Hey everybody, Charlie Hunter 2 here, and welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. When we last left off, well, we started the court case, and Susato is gone, and we saw a suspicious cutscene with Mr. Herlock Sholmes talking to Susato before she left. Also, Lord Van Zykes has been brought into question as to why he's here, and he says he suspects high matters of the state. Or he doesn't suspect that, but that's normally what he investigates or what he chooses to involve himself with. So I believe that a newspaper article about there being leaked secrets is going to link directly to the juror, especially juror number 6, who is the Russian spy that we saw in the newspaper on the ship over here. Let's continue, shall we? The victim, Mr. Windybank, and the accused. They're talking about the crime scene layout. It may further interest the court to know that when the accused was discovered at the scene, she had in her hand the gun used to fire the fatal bullet. Well, that's that then, isn't it? Nothing more to say. Isn't that grubby little girl a pickpocket anyway? She's one of those filthy drabs that lives in the slums. Oh well, it's only a matter of time before she got blood on her hands then. What are the jurors waiting for? Objection. We can't jump to conclusions here. We mustn't assume her guilt because of what she has to do to survive. Uh-oh. Hallowed chalice time. He's still got his cloak on now, too. My learned Nipponese friend, it is you who mustn't jump to conclusions. The prosecution has barely begun presenting its case. Conveniently, this appalling act of murder did not go unobserved. There were witnesses. Good gracious. After their testimony, this girl's true nature will be exposed. Pitiful pick-purse or cold-hearted killer. Here's to establishing the truth. The court will take the floor plan and firearm into evidence. Hand them to the bailiff, please, Lord Van Zykes. Alright, we're going to check that out. Once, my lord, the crime scene floor plan has been entered into the court record. The plan of Windybank's pawnbrokery, the scene of the crime, it shows the relative positions of the main shop and the rear storeroom. Windybank's revolver has been entered into the court record. A gun belonging to the victim, Mr. Windybank, that Gina was holding when she was found unconscious. There are signs of a single discharge. Alright, let's check that out if we can. This isn't good. No, it is not. Court record has a lot of stuff in it too, which is going to make choosing the right thing to show quite difficult. Let's look at the plan. She's laying here. He's laying there. There's a signature, whoever drew this. Very proud of their work. We know there was a discharge here, this direction. We found the thieves like over this way. What is all this? Alright, and then we have the gun. Let's look at the gun. Let's look at the cylinder. This is Mr. Windybank's gun. The cylinder is completely empty. Mr. Windybank always used to keep this gun out to hand on his shop counter. Yes, but only ever with a single bullet loaded, I understand. That's right, to keep all the pawned articles that were in his care safe. But his one bullet was fired that night and the poor man lost his life. Was he protecting his shop, I wonder? Trying to keep the articles safe. Okay, this hammer is not back. It looks like it's back, but it's not back. Alright, we looked at the cylinder. Let's, can we look at the rifling? That's still pointing at the cylinder, right? Yeah, that's still pointing at the cylinder. Trigger guard, other side. Let's look at the bottom, the handle. Let's look at the top. Okay, I'm not seeing anything directly out of the ordinary here. I'm trying to check all sides, and it looks like the cylinder is the only thing we can look at. Yeah. Alright, we're going back. Let's continue on. Feels like the mood in here has turned very gloomy all of a sudden, Runo. I think that's because it has. Uh-oh. Cloak is already off. Let us begin. Bring forth the witnesses on the foul murder of Mr. Pop Windybank on 16th April of this year. How do we go to court one day after and you guys totally aren't suspicious, are you? Mr. Gregson is here? Why is Inspector Gregson here? He could have... There's no way possible he could have been a witness. Witnesses, state your names and occupations for the court. Name's Nash Skulkin. Occupation is baddie. Professional baddie. Why do y'all have fruit? You have a pear and he has an apple. Name's Ringo Skulkin. Occupation's same as him. Tobias Gregson, Scotland Yard Inspector. That's right. We're what they call the three Skulkin brothers? Hold on now. Gregson, you're in with these two? What are you looking at me like that for? Don't lump me in with you lot. Cora, blimey, that's cold. Don't you know what we're going through? It's our older bruv. Lost contact with him we have. So we're scouring every shady corner of the capital. And then last night we come across you, the very spit of the bloke. Ain't that right, Ringo? He is, Nash. He is, the very spit of him. So we decided there and then what we was going to do. We was going to call you. Big bruv Skulky. Come on, leave it out, you two. Skulky Skulkin. And that's before he's run out of chips. Sulky Skulkin. Well then, Inspector Sulky Gregson. Begging your pardon, my lord, but the name's Tobias. What I would like to know, Inspector, is what you are doing in the witness stand. The Skulkin brothers are currently under arrest, my lord, on suspicion of theft. Thieves, are they? These three? No, my lord. Begging your pardon, but please don't lump me in with this lot. 2 nights ago, these two brothers illegally entered an establishment with intent to burgle. And in the course of their nefarious activities, they became embroiled in a far more sinister crime. By Jove, you mean to say... What an extraordinary coincidence. Is it, though? It doesn't really seem that extraordinary. Indeed, my lord, while attempting to burglarize the pawnbrokery, they witnessed its proprietor's murder. They also shot Herlock, right? Oh, that one is super short. Order. Order! The various trespasses of these brothers is not the subject of today's proceeding, though they will naturally face trial in the very near future. With your lordship's permission, I'd like to remain in the stand to keep these gents on the straight and narrow. So you're there to watch these two, is what you're saying. Of course, Inspector. Skeptical as I am about the caliber of these witnesses, I will permit them to take the stand. Mr. and Mr. Skulkin, you will now testify before the court. Describe the events of the night in question and what exactly you saw. Happy to. 'Cause a Skulkin's never skulkin'. Sorry, I had to get some water there. They just keep expecting him to be part of them, right? Get out of it. Testimony. Illegal entry. We was walking down Baker Street in the small hours, and the gaff's door was ajar, see? It was like some kind of sign, begging for us to go in, it was. But once we got inside, Cor blimey lummy, we heard a gunshot from the back room. We went to see what was what, but the door was locked from the inside. We never done nothing, Governor. We never took nothing. We just left after that, nice and quiet. Did you, though? A terrible coincidence, it would seem. At the precise moment these miscreants entered the property, an even more sinister crime was afoot. The witness's testimony is consistent with the crime scene in every detail. The door providing access to the storeroom from the main shop was indeed locked from the inside, and within only the victim and the accused were found. I must say it does appear to be an overwhelmingly simple case. Still, the defense may cross-examine the witnesses now. Of course, counsel, if you please. All right, we got to press them on all of these statements. Counsel? Yes. What's the matter, Runo? Sorry, I was just stunned into silence for a minute by the blatant lies being told by that pair in the stand. I know that it's all nonsense because I saw it with my own eyes. I'll just have to expose their testimony for the pack of lies it is. Yeah, I was getting ready to say, we were there. Illegal entry. Frankly, I think there's a conflict of interest here, and we should be a witness, not the defense lawyer. We was walking down Baker Street in the small hours, and the Gap store was ajar. Let's go ahead and press that. We're going to press everything, because there's really no need not to.
Hold it!
The front door of Windybanks was ajar, you say. What time of night was this? Must have been about 1, right, Ringo? Yeah, I'd say so. Right, Sulky? How would I know? The place would have been shut at 1 in the morning, just like every other shop in town. Well, it was pitch black outside, it's true. Ain't that right, Ringo? I'm not so sure, Nash. I seem to remember a little light burning inside. What about you, Sulky? Me old mucker? Leave me alone. There definitely was a small lamp burning inside. That's what alerted us to the situation in the first place. And when these gentlemen ventured into the open establishment, the accused, Miss Gina Lestrade, already had the muzzle of her gun trained on the unfortunate victim. No, that's speculation. You have no way of knowing that.
Objection!
It's pure conjecture. Perhaps. But it changes nothing. These brothers inadvertently wandered into the middle of a cold-blooded murder, simply because they found the door of the victim's establishment open and ventured inside. Right, that's what happened. Sure. It was like some kind of sign begging for us to go in, it was. Let's press this.
Hold it!
What are you trying to suggest? That you had to go in? Well, God moves in mysterious ways, they say. Don't they, Ringo? They do, Nash, they do. Must have been some sort of providence, I reckon. God's will often presents itself as the whim of thieves, does it? It weren't no whim, I'm dead sure of that. It weren't, Nash, it weren't. Like we said at the time. You don't just find doors open in the middle of the night like that. Nah, there's no two ways about it. It was a sign that our long-lost brother was inside. They're not very good liars, are they? Well, you can't deny it. It led us to a bloke what looks just like our bruv. I said, cut it out. Those chips are getting a chomping today. But once we got inside, core blimey lummy, we heard a gunshot from the back room.
Hold it!
A gunshot, you say, just like the one. Or just the one. Are you sure about that? Yep, just the one, Governor. I can swear to that. It was, Nash, it was. Ain't that right, bruv? The firearm used to belong to the victim himself. Yes, Mr. Windybank always used to leave his gun lying around on the counter. Right, I remember. When we examined it, we found the revolver was completely out of rounds. That makes sense. Mr. Windybank always used to say he only ever kept a single bullet loaded. That's true, I remember him saying that as well. So we can say with considerable certainty that only a single round was discharged from the firearm used as the murder weapon. Yes, my lord, we can. And I should remind the court that the firearm in question was discovered in the hand of the accused. Well, that means for sure that the second shot, if that was the case, the one that hit Herlock, had to come from another gun. Wonderful. We went to see what was what, but the door was locked from the inside. Now, he's looking kind of suspicious and sideways on this. Let's press this. Do you mean the door between the main shop and the storeroom? If my learned friend is having difficulty grasping the situation, perhaps a drawing would help. Excluding the shop's entrance from the street, there is only one other door, that of the storeroom. There's no back exit? Of course, there was only a little oil lamp burning, not much to see by. And the door was hidden behind a curtain and all. That's right. When we arrived, the door was mostly obscured by the curtain. Tell me, why exactly did you try to open that door? Eh? Any normal petty thief would run at the sound of a gun shop, I would think. Oh, well, your turn to rabbit, Ringo. Well, Nash, yeah. I suppose you'd have to say we ain't normal, eh? Broadly speaking, humans respond in one of two ways on hearing a gunshot or scream. The timid flee, gripped by fear, while the courageous investigate to see if they might help. These gentlemen are of the latter inclination. My learned Nipponese friend, it would seem, is of the former. Alright, somehow I just proved that I was a coward that night. Thank you, counsels. So, I believe we all understand that the door was locked and could not be opened. Proceed, witnesses. We never done nothing, Governor. We never took nothing, we just left after that nice and quiet. Now, we know that's false.
Hold it!
You didn't do or take anything? Is that your story? Well, it was bedlam soon as, weren't it? It was, Nash, it was. Didn't even have time to pull me dukes out me Lucy lockets. So with no time to take your hands out of your pockets, you just left nice and quietly, you say. That's right, Governor. Nothing we hate more than violence. Peace-loving nibblers we are, not bludgers. We are, Nash, we are. Never even pulled me dukes out me Lucy lockets. So you clearly like us to believe. Eh? Come again? As you fled from the pawnbrokers that night, did you not run into anyone else? And did you not fire a gun at that person? Saints alive, they fired a gun, you say? Ugh! Blimey, Governor. You ain't telling us it was you in the doorway. It was. Why the bleeding Nora? Didn't you mention that before? You were armed with a gun, and as you fled the scene, you fired that gun. At London's greatest detective, Herlock Sholmes. They shot the great Mr. Sholmes? I did hear that, actually. There was a rumor he'd been rushed to a hospital. The great Sholmes? That's beyond the pale. On the night in question, this pair were arrested by the police within minutes of the discovery of the crime scene. Their suspicious countenance rapidly gave them away. Hehe. And when searched, a firearm was indeed found in their possession. Furthermore, the barrel shows signs of a shot having been fired from it. The prosecution invites his lordship to examine the firearm recovered from these brothers. Yes, indeed. Remnants of powder around the muzzle, as you say, counsel. The court will hold this weapon as evidence. We need to look at that. The Skulkin brothers' gun has been entered into the court record, a firearm found in the possession of the Skulkin brothers upon their arrest. There are signs that a single round was fired. Can we look at it now, or are you going to be extra about your hallowed chalice? Now, my learned Nipponese friend. Hold on. We're going to inspect. Let's look at this gun. So we're running out of spaces for evidence. We got 3 spaces left. All right, let's look at this gun. Let's check it out. So there's ammunition still loaded in 5 of this revolver's 6 cylinders. Yes, which tells us that only a single shot has been fired from it. Exactly. The bullet that hit Hurley, in fact, isn't it? Yes, it happened almost as soon as we'd walked in through Randy Bank's door. I'll make those brothers pay. Is there anything else interesting about it? Let's look at the barrel. No. Trigger guard. Top of the weapon. Huh. Not really seeing anything else, so we're going to go ahead and back out. I'm going to keep going. Yes. Here's to you successfully presenting the evidence. For yes, there are the telltale signs of spent powder on this gun and a single bullet missing from the cylinder. But the prosecution demands evidence that it was fired at the scene of the crime under scrutiny in this trial.
Objection!
Well, I don't need evidence, because I was there.
Objection!
However, the rest of us in this courtroom were not. If the defense fails to provide evidence in support of its rash claim, we shall have no choice but to toast in your incompetence and move on. Evidence that these two fired that gun before they left Windibanks that night. Court demands that all claims are affirmed with clear proof. But evidence shows that these witnesses unloaded a firearm in the pawnbroker's shop. All right. So... it's not the pawnbroker's ticket. It's not the representation papers. It's not the other ticket. It's not the blood sample. A long unpublished story. It's not that. Notes. Morning papers. Autopsy report. Huh. Windibank's gun. Firearm found in possession of the Skulkin brothers upon arrest. There are signs that a single round had been fired. We need to think about this a minute. Pawnbroker's ticket. That doesn't do anything for us. How can we prove they shot a round? I would say the blood. Can we look at this? What color was the blood on the wall? That's probably Mr. Sholmes's blood. But if I remember correctly, didn't the blood on the calendar here, wasn't it there when we went that night already? Okay, so this is my strongest piece of evidence right here. I'm thinking this is green blood. Let's see if anything else. Manuscript's not going to do anything. The notes on the McGilded case won't do anything. Today's newspaper doesn't mean anything, does it? Does it say something about 2 shots on here? I don't think it does. The fact that Holmes is in the hospital should be part of it. Autopsy. That. Yeah, we're going to present the blood evidence, so let's present that.
Take that!
I may be wrong. The evidence is in this portfolio. What on earth do you have there, counsel? During the course of our investigation, we discovered a number of bloodstains. Not trusting the police to do their job they're trained to do. How arrogantly Limpinese of you. Well, anyway, we analyzed all the blood samples we found and recorded the results in this portfolio. And you claim to have the evidence the court is demanding therein? Yes, my lord. No more dallying then, counsel. Present the pertinent evidence at once. What do you have in your portfolio that proves these witnesses unloaded a firearm at the scene? This one. Present this one.
Take that!
What is that? Explain. It's a photographic print taken at Windibank's pawnbrokery on the day of the incident. From the scene of the crime, is it? Is that a bullet hole? And if my eyes did not deceive me, it appears the bullet is still lodged there. Yes, as your lordship noticed, the bullet pierced Mr. Windibank's calendar. The date shown being the 16th of April, the very day of the pawnbroker's death. The incident occurred at 1 hour after midnight. Okay, so inadvertently I proved it by choosing the wrong one. I was thinking it was the blood that was going to give it away, showing that there was evidence of a third person being there. But I didn't even stop to think of the fact that they shot through the calendar on that day, meaning there had to have been 2 shots fired on that day. Incident occurred at 1 hour after midnight. But this indicates that a separate shot had been fired sometime after the calendar had been set to the 16th. That's right, and while it isn't irrefutable, the defense believes this is credible evidence that the witnesses did fire a round from their gun in the pawnbrokers that night. Nah. Yeah, it kind of looks like knockoff Waluigi. Order. How does the prosecution stand, Lord Van Zykes? Dramatic. If that is the direction my learned friend wishes to take, the prosecution has no objection. What? But you'll forgive me for flinging my hallowed chalice aside in disgust at the repugnancy it exposes. Yes, on the night in question, these brothers entered the pawnbrokery illegally. And like the bold baddies they claim to be, opened fire on the new arrivals before fleeing back into the street. Eh? Take it easy there, Governor. You're going to land us in the soup. We had a deal. You weren't going to get us into them details. Tell him, Skulky. Or Sulky. Set the bloke straight. I have nothing to add. So he knew, did he? Van Zykes knew their testimony would almost certainly expose the extent of their crimes. It would seem now that I owe my learned Nipponese friend a word of gratitude. What do you mean? What I mean is that you have helpfully confirmed an important fact. To what fact do you refer, Lord Van Zykes? As has been established, at the point of their arrest, a single shot had been fired from the brother's gun. However, if that shot found its target in Mr. Sholmes, then clearly these witnesses cannot be accused of the fatal shooting of the proprietor and victim. Yeah, we knew that. In other words, I think it's the unicorn guy. What is it? Egbert Benedict is what he told us his name was? In other words, these two men have no material connection to the murder of Mr. Windibank at all. So that's it. That's it. We didn't have nothing to do with it. We didn't, Nash. We didn't. That's what I reckon. Your crimes include unlawful entry, intent to steal, perjury, and let's not forget attempted murder. Quite a catalog, eh, fellas? We're in for it now, bruv. Now then, let us take a moment to consider the aforementioned great detective, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. It would seem the man patronized the pawnbrokers in question somewhat regularly. Where's he going with this? Mr. Sholmes appears to take pleasure in tinkering with his eccentric machinery. Eccentric? Says who? Not me. Don't give me that look. He installed a pair of machines like this one in the victim's shop. Oh, it's one of Hurley's red-handed recorders. What is that, Counsel? It has the appearance of a photographic contraption. As your lordship has surmised, it is indeed a camera attached to a small timing device. Every half an hour, it automatically photographs the interior of the establishment. The idea being that if a thief were to break into the shop, he would be caught red-handed. The prosecution has obtained the photographs taken by the device on the night in question. That's a lot of photographs. 8:30, 9, 9:30. As the court will observe, copious identical prints are produced in quite desultory fashion. Rather prodigal, I feel. In fact, there are 2 such devices in the victim's shop, my lord. If I may refer the court to the plan of the premises, their respective positions are here. And here. And that's going to do it for this episode. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy my content, please consider a like, a comment, and or a subscribe. Stay tuned for the next episode. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.